I watched Rasmus Højlund's recent performances at Manchester United, so you don't have to, and I have to say he is a bad striker. With the current state Manchester United are in and him being the number 9, the performances he has been put in have been very bad. Manchester United splashed around 70 million plus for Rasmus Højlund, with his expectations being very high, and he has not lived up to those expectations. He was expected to be the next great number 9 at Manchester United. Fast forward a couple of years and the excitement has completely faded. Performances are being questioned, confidence is at an all-time low, and people are now questioning, was this transfer worth it? From his rise at Atalanta to what he's turned into at Manchester United recently, I will break down exactly what has gone wrong and how he can turn things around, if that's possible. Let's first take it back to his Atalanta days and look at where he was in his development. He had played only one full season under Gasperini at Atalanta as the main striker. That is not a significant amount of time playing in the top 5 leagues as the main striker with pressure under your back. In that time, Højlund scored 9 Serie A goals under a very fluid system of Gasperini. As we've seen as years have gone by, whatever attackers end up playing under Gasperini end up doing very well. But to be fair to him, this was a record-breaking season for a teenager in such a tough league. It was definitely something to note. But what made him look like a special talent? Højlund's main focus was to be in the box. Gasperini's football looked to get players out wide and get crosses in. Whether that's the wingers or the wing backs, it's all about getting those crosses in. And he showed elite movement in being at the end of those crosses and finishing off his chances. He looked extremely sharp. He would use his upper body strength as an asset. Whenever defenders were on him, he was able to roll them using his body, very Lukaku-like. During his time at Atalanta, he showed versatility. Even though he was the main striker, his channel running was excellent, and whenever he went out wide, he was able to move that ball forward for Atalanta, regardless of how much pressure they were under. His speed at Atalanta was demon-like. He was an absolute monster. The pace that he showed to go from defense to attack was unbelievable. He had no fear of losing the ball or to drive with the ball, and he was always looking to make a positive impact on the pitch. It got to the point that he was even getting comparisons to Haaland, even though his goal scoring was definitely inferior to what Haaland was doing at Salzburg or Dortmund. But the attributes that he had as a striker looked like they would be perfect for a Premier League striker. But the main issue, in my opinion, at this point, before his move to Manchester United, was that he had one season under Gasperini at Atalanta. He needed one more season just to get that raw ability out of him, just to refine the abilities that he has before he makes a massive move. I know his price would have been astronomical had he had another great season at Atalanta, but Manchester United paid 72 million anyway, so why couldn't they wait? The reason I say that is from Højlund's point of view, he wasn't ready to reach and be the main man of an unstable Manchester United team. I know it looked like Ten Hag was doing things at Manchester United when he signed, but it wasn't. The underlying performances and underlying style of play wasn't there yet, so he wasn't ready for that move. But nonetheless, he made the move to Manchester United. Everyone at Manchester United was excited, especially the fans. So how did Højlund's first season at Manchester United go, and why did he not live up to the hype in his first season? Højlund's first season at Manchester United didn't go as planned in my opinion. He scored 10 goals in 30 appearances, which sounds decent, but when a team's paid 70 million plus for you and you're the main striker, that is not good enough, especially when you take into account the performances. A major issue was definitely his consistency, and he even struggled to score a goal, to the point there was a famous TikToker, Sean Millis, who was making songs about a miracle for Højlund to score. It was going viral at the time. Astonishingly, it took Højlund up to December 2023 to register his first goal, and by February he only had 3 league goals for Manchester United. This was a player who was still extremely raw, and at this point he needed support. In my opinion, his biggest issue was that he was prioritizing the wrong thing. His movement was selfless to open up chances elsewhere for Bruno Fernandes, for Marcus Rashford, for even Scott McTominay, who were all taking more shots than the main striker at Manchester United, Rasmus Højlund. I believe the most disappointing part of Højlund's game was his overall game as a striker against his markers. At Atalanta, he was bullying defenders, and over here, he was the one getting bullied. He would forget to actually go for the ball, and he would be more focused on wrestling his markers. He was not potent at all, and no defender was actually scared of him. Was the step up from Serie A to the Premier League too difficult for him? Was the level of intensity from the Serie A to the Premier League, because it's completely different, too difficult for him? In my opinion, no. He's very physical. He has great attributes. He can handle the intensity of the Premier League. I know he came in injured with a back injury, which meant he had to play once a week. That might have affected his intensity, but when you watched him, you could see that he had the raw abilities to make it in the Premier League. The major issue that I saw was, though, he didn't have have as much time to think on the ball like he did at Atalanta compared to the Premier League. He was getting pressed very physically and quickly, and he wasn't able to handle that physical press. Don't get me wrong though, it wasn't just his fault. Manchester United at the time under Erik ten Hag were absolutely useless. They lacked any creativity. The only creative monster they actually had in the team was Bruno Fernandes, and he was the only one who was consistently trying to make chances. And when you look at the relationships on the pitch, Højlund was struggling to create relationships with Rashford, with Garnacho. They were more busy trying to take shots themselves than trying to find Højlund, and when he's making excellent runs, he was getting ignored, which led to a lack of confidence in his actual movement. Additionally, Ten Hag's football on the pitch lacked a clear game plan. You couldn't see what he actually wanted from his number 9, how the ball would go from defence to attack, and how it would include Højlund, someone who was so used to fast, fluid football under Gasperini, with passes being sprayed to him at all times, to then going to him seeing only the ball 5 or 6 times on the pitch through a whole 90 minutes was a completely different experience. But with the second season coming up to adapt, and even a change of manager through that season, surely now Højlund will be used to the league and we'll be able to see a change in form, right? Let's fast forward to his second season now. Despite the hope that this will be where Højlund turns it around, things have been tough, if not tougher. Even with a fully fit Højlund throughout the season, the performances have not been good enough, and he's only scored 2 goals in 19 games in the Premier League. That is definitely not good enough, especially with the price tag that he has. He started the season off with a hamstring injury, which is fair enough, but by the Tottenham game, which was about game week 6, he was back fully fit for Manchester United and he was able to come off the bench there, but he has still been average. This season, in my opinion, we've seen the true rawness of Rasmus Højlund's game as a striker, which we spoke about earlier. His lack of real game time at Atalanta is showing. His lack of real game time in the Big 5 leagues is showing. He's getting frustrated so quickly. His touches in games are so loose, and he continues to fight his markers rather than focusing on actually getting the ball or making movements in behind his markers so that he can create separations for him to score. The one thing I loved about his game at Atalanta was that he was able to create separation from his markers and quickly get shots off. Right now at Manchester United, you are struggling to see him separate from his markers at all. On top of that, Højlund is no longer making the runs he was renowned for at Atalanta. That movement in the box where you want him to go near post, where you want him to go far post, and you know you'll find him away from his marker. Right now, whenever the ball's going near post, you'll find Højlund at the far post. If the ball's going at the far post, you'll find Højlund at the near post. He will never be able to make that right decision on where to be, and that way the cross has never been able to find him for him to finish off his chances. On top of that, we saw Erik ten Hag get sacked. Ruben Amorim comes in and you think, yes, this is the time for Højlund to show up, because we saw what Ruben Amorim was able to do for Victor Gyökeres at Sporting Lisbon in a 3-4-3, which Rasmus Højlund has played at Atalanta. So he's been used to this formation, this playing style. But still, you can see he's struggling. On top of that, Manchester United had the decision that they could have signed a ready-made striker, someone to take the pressure off Højlund. They ended up signing Joshua Zirkzee, who also for me isn't a striker, and now you're seeing 2 strikers who are completely out of confidence, but Rasmus Højlund being 70 million, he's the one who has the more pressure on him. The low of the season definitely for Rasmus Højlund in recent games we saw was when Kobbie Mainoo was chosen to play as the striker, with Rasmus Højlund and Joshua Zirkzee both fit. They were both on the bench, and Kobbie Mainoo, who's a central midfielder, was preferred to play as the number 9. At this point, you have to ask the question, Højlund could genuinely be playing for his career at Manchester United in these last 3 or 4 months of the season, because Ruben Amorim has clearly not liked his striker options, and if he doesn't like them, they could end up signing a new one to get rid of him. So how can he revive his career at Manchester United with the remaining 3 or 4 months? And what excuses does he have this season to make up for his poor performances? Let's start with the issues that Manchester United currently have under Ruben Amorim. He has not been profiled correctly at all during his whole Manchester United career as a striker. Manchester United move the ball around in possession so slowly. Every single time you watch them, that ball is moving from left to right very slowly. Rasmus Højlund is a striker who definitely enjoys the direct passes into him. Let him control it, let him get closer to the box. When Manchester United move that ball quick enough out wide and he makes movements in the box, that is the best way for him to find space to score goals. What we're seeing currently from Manchester United is Rasmus Højlund having to come deep, to come collect the ball, bring his teammates into the game, and then also make the runs into the box to be able to be there to finish his chances. In my opinion, Rasmus Højlund is at his best when he's attacking the box, when he's close to the box. Let the other players take the creative burden off him and let him focus on getting in the box and finishing his chances. Currently, Højlund is a striker who's receiving very few passes because the midfielders don't have the quality to find him. The wing backs are full backs, so Manchester United don't have the quality around him to actually find him in and around the box. But the more frustrating part for Manchester United fans is that Rasmus Højlund is usually good at finding and making his own chances. At Manchester United, he has truly struggled. He's not been able to take shots on a consistent basis, because when you see him take shots, he's actually really good. He usually finds the corner. When he's 1v1 with the goalkeeper, the chance is more likely to go in than not go in. But he just doesn't take enough shots. If you look at the rest of the Manchester United team, they take more shots than the actual number 9 themselves. So what Manchester United fans need to see is an improvement in the link-up play outside of Rasmus Højlund. And when that happens and there's more crosses going into the box, there's more people finding Rasmus Højlund, they need to be able to see him have more shots in the game, because if not, if those touches remain loose and those shots go all over the place, even the fans will lose patience with him. Going forward, they've signed Patrick Dorgu, Amad Diallo has become more influential, Bruno Fernandes is as influential as ever, so there's more people to create opportunities for him. So the hope is that Rasmus Højlund finds himself in the box and he starts finishing off his chances, and once one goes in, the confidence will come through and he'll start scoring even more often. Otherwise, Manchester United could cut their costs and sign a new striker over him if Ruben Amorim continues to be frustrated by his performances, continues to be frustrated by the fact Rasmus Højlund is not scoring, and that his number 9, who usually Ruben Amorim gets the best out of, is not actually doing what Ruben Amorim needs him to do. So what do you think? Can Højlund turn it around at Manchester United, or should they sign a new striker? Let me know down below. But talking about a new striker and signing a new striker, check out my recent video where I spoke about why Liverpool should have the perfect striker to sign in Hugo Ekitike, and he could even be an option for Manchester United to replace Rasmus Højlund. I hope you enjoyed this video about how Rasmus Højlund has struggled at Manchester United, and I'll see you for the next one. But before you leave, don't forget to like, comment down below, subscribe for more, and hit the notification bell so you know whenever I upload.